This slideshow will go over how to maintain your F-1 status. That means keeping your immigration record in good shape so that you are in valid status. There are 3 critical steps you need to keep in mind. This slideshow is produced by the Office of International Students and Scholars, and we are the campus resource for information about your student visa. If you have any questions about this material, OISS is the department you should consult. The first step is to make sure you take care of your paperwork. There are a few steps to this, including keeping your living address and email address up to date, making sure you take care of your I-20, and you know when your passport and visas need to be renewed. So to keep your UCSB student record up to date, which is an actual immigration requirement, you need to have an accurate local living address. You need to keep that updated using GOLD. You can use a temporary address, but you cannot use a mailing address such as a PO box. You need to update your address within 10 days each time you move. So if you move from one apartment to another or from the dorms into an apartment, just make sure you update your address in GOLD. You also want to make sure you have an accurate email address in UMail. If you want to have your emails forwarded to a specific email address, you can do that there. You just use this myucsb.edu website, and as you can see, there's a button for GOLD. That's where you update your physical living address, and for UMail. You'll find both those at myucsb.edu. Also, if you're traveling outside of the US for any reason, you need to get a travel validation signature on your I-20 so you can get back in. Just bring your I-20 to OISS and give us a couple of days, probably 3 days, drop it off before you need it. But then it's valid for 12 months. No matter how many times you go in or out of that country within that 12 months, your signature, your travel signature will still be valid. So it's worth getting before you need it. So mark your calendar so that you know the completion date of your academic program that's listed on your I-20. Perhaps they gave you 4 years for a full undergraduate degree. You may have gotten just 2 years if you're a transfer student. But if you're going to need additional time, request an extension. You can request the extension at any time, but you need to do it before your document expires. Once it's expired, it's not an extension. So be sure you know when that date will be. Mark your calendar and make sure you also know your passport expiration date. If your passport will expire within 6 months, you should renew it. Do not let your passport expire. Contact your embassy, your country's embassy in the US to find out how to renew. So you might be wondering, what about your visa? You need a valid visa to enter the US. However, you can remain in the US with an expired visa as long as you maintain your status, as we talked about earlier. If you leave the US, you will need to have a valid non-expired visa to re-enter. But as long as you stay in the US, you can stay with an expired visa, and that's no problem. The second important rule is to stay enrolled full-time. Full-time enrollment for undergraduates is 12 units per quarter, fall, winter, and spring. For graduate students, 8 units per quarter, fall, winter, and spring. Let OISS know right away if you plan to drop below full-time enrollment for any reason, if you need to withdraw or cancel. Talk to OISS first. Also be sure that you register for your classes before the start of every quarter. Watch for your pastimes. Your pastimes are those opportunities that you have to enroll in classes. So make sure you know when your pastimes are and get the classes you want as quickly as possible. You want to be enrolled fully for every quarter. It's better to have more units than you need and drop a class if you are trying to choose between 2 classes that might be full. You need to still be always enrolled in at least the minimum number of units. So don't drop a class unless you're already sure you can get into another one. Make sure you enroll in courses As a full-time student, you always have to be enrolled in courses. Make sure you pay your fees. Make sure you clear any blocks on your academic record. This would be like library fines, housing fees. All those need to be paid so that you are in good status. So the third point is that you cannot work without authorization. Work authorization is required if you want to work off campus, in a paid position, an unpaid position. You need to have work authorization. If you want to work on campus as an F-1 student, you do not need special permission. You will need to get a social security number, an SSN, and there is a maximum number of hours you can work, 20 hours per week while school is in session. You can work more hours during school breaks, such as during summer or winter break, but you cannot work more than 20 hours a week during classes because you are here as a student. If you want to work off campus, you will need to get permission from OISS before beginning your employment, and it must be related to your field of study. After 1 year in F1 status, you could participate in CPT or OPT. There are lots of workshops about both those programs that we have for you. So your social security number, it's a tax identification number that's required for paid work in the US. Your social security number is not permission to work. So just because you get your SSN does not mean that you automatically have permission to work, but you will need a social security number to be paid for work in the US. You might also need a social security number if you're receiving a fellowship or a stipend from the university that includes employment. So if you do have some kind of a fellowship without employment and you're getting a cash stipend, you might need an individual tax identification number instead. OISS can help you with that, or the business officer in your department may be able to guide you there. So again, 3 simple steps. Take care of your paperwork, stay enrolled full-time, do not work without authorization, and please contact OISS if you have any questions. We are here to help you.